are the older ones, the where the hotel was. Yeah.
Yes, oh yeah.
I lived right there, so when the one guy
Check, 1, 2, check.
overhead, he ran hard. He had
that right?
SWAT going down the street. Yeah. Yeah. So when they tore that thing down, you're all like,
That thing kind of.
your husband was in town.
Okay, we'll come back to order then. We appreciate the patience with this. This is an important meeting. We really want to include those that are watching remotely. I guess we'll go back to your
Yeah. Thank
report.
you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you to all of you for your patience with that. I think we should be good online now. And so this is a slide that we created earlier this year in response to some members of the public having concerns about not being noticed for items. It's really helpful if the community and residents can do their part. So this QR code would lead you to a place where you can sign up for agenda notifications, news alerts that the city sends out, so that you can do your best to be informed. So that said, the next part that I wanted to just share was the public noticing efforts that we go through, and then the public comments. So we have a city ordinance that requires that we mail out notices to residents within 500 feet of the subject property. Given the size of this project, we selected 6 different locations on those borders closest to the bulk of where other residences were living, so that we could try and get the noticing out. So we mailed about 65 notices. We also post this information. The state has a requirement that we post on the state's public meeting notice website. We post this on our city website as well, and we do post our agendas and public hearing notices on social media, Facebook primarily. So we, as of about 6:30 p.m., we had received about 30 emails, a couple of phone calls. Most of the emails that were coming in were opposing the rezone. There were a few that were supportive of the rezone. And the concerns that people were listing for their opposition was the number of units, smaller lots, townhomes, traffic safety, infrastructure concerns, which I did want to just address that. We have had conversations with the infrastructure providers. So I think it was in early June, there was a meeting that was held where we had secondary water, the sewer district, city staff were there, power, public works that does water, stormwater. There is some existing infrastructure over in the area, specifically sewer. But there are no concerns about capacity for any of the utilities. There would be some complications with the sewer district that I think these units would have to have either grinder pumps or lift pumps, but that is just an engineering item, not necessarily anything with capacity. If there was capacity issues, if there was not adequate water, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. We would not bring forward an application that couldn't be supported by the infrastructure. So that said, there were also concerns about the equestrian center, some of the height proposals, loss of a rural feel, impact to schools, road connection points, loss of property value, just kind of those general concerns that come in when we have these types of applications that are seen with the city. So I did want to just address the road connection points real quick, and I'm going to go back here to this slide. So I am going to be changing the recommendation for this evening. Instead of a recommendation of approval, that we continue the item to, I think, the October 9th meeting. One of the reasons why is we would like to have additional time. First of all, there were a few things in the development agreement that we just did not get finalized. All of that relates to the road. The city's preference, I believe the applicant's preference as well, would be to have this road 550 West connect all the way through from the subdivision that exists to the north and connect down into Angel Street. The property here is owned by the sewer district, and the developer did make an attempt earlier this year to acquire the property from the sewer district that would be needed for the road. They declined to sell the property. So I think that'll be a point of discussion for the Planning Commission here this evening. But it definitely, we believe that road needs to connect all the way through. So let me go back to this other slide. So again, the recommendation for this evening is really we wanted to get public comments in. A lot of times with projects that are this big, those public comments do influence what the Planning Commission would like to see happen. Sometimes the Planning Commission directs staff to go back with the applicant, make changes. But again, with that development agreement, with those couple areas and the road stuff not being finalized, we do need more time on this, but it is important to kind of get this in front of the public and get that feedback at this point in time. So we do have the applicant here this evening who did want to present some items to the Planning Commission. So if you'd like to progress to the applicant, then we can move to that.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll have the applicant come up, and then the public hearing portion will begin after that. We'll give some instructions. So.
Matt Loveland. I'm here on behalf of Symphony Homes, 111 South Frontage Road, Centerville, Utah.
What's your name again?
Matt Loveland. Matthew Loveland.
Last name?
Loveland.
Loveland. Oh, thank
Yes. You. And I got to say, I feel like the recess was the equivalent of icing the kicker. And so I'm glad we got the technical issues sorted out. So the guys online, thanks for letting us know. And Melinda, are you able to pull up the presentation by chance? Perfect, thank you. So I just want to restate the application in very simple form with a clarification as well. So this is a unique opportunity where we have 50 contiguous acres within Kaysville. Symphony and Ivory as co-applicants, we want to do something unique and special here, while also honor and observe that this is Kaysville. So we have both built within this community for a long time, and we look forward to continue building here as well. The application, it actually has 193 single-family detached as opposed to the 231. So 193 detached single-family, 102 attached single-family or townhomes. This project will bring resolution to vital infrastructure on behalf of the city, as well as a new community asset that'll be owned by the community, being the bike park, which I'll get to that later. So my goal for tonight is I'm looking for feedback, direction. This is a big project. We have intentionally taken kind of a long approach on this. So to everyone involved, thank you for the patience. That's behind me. So thank you for the patience. But tonight, we just want to make sure, are we heading the right way? And I believe that we are, and I'll make that case here shortly, but I want your input. Symphony Homes has been, we're a local builder. We're based in Centerville. We've been building homes in Davis County and Kaysville for over 30 years. And so Kaysville is honestly, it feels like a second home for me, but that's a byproduct of this project. To Symphony, we love Kaysville. We have several active projects, and again, thank you for everything. So this property has history. It's an abundant history. In 2019, there's an application for 15 units an acre. 2022, there's an application for 9 units per acre. And again, last year in 2024, there's an application for 9.6 units per acre. I'll just say tonight's application is for 5.8 units an acre across more acreage than the prior applications. Our initial purchase of any property within this area was actually in 2022, and it followed one of the applications. The neighboring community reached out to Symphony saying, you guys need to stop this, help us. And so we acquired the property. We were able to work out terms with that landowner. And a couple of years have gone by. We've since added additional property to it. Ivory has also purchased property within the area. So the project has grown. It is a big project. And during that same time, I mean, Utah has faced, it's an unprecedented housing crisis. I'm not going to dwell much on that because I know everyone knows it. So though some of the product types may not be atypical as to what's built right there, Symphony and Ivory, but Symphony especially, we are trying to adapt to a changing market. We are known for building very large custom homes. We would like to delve into more attainable housing segments, and this would be the beta of that endeavor. So we started this kind of conversation, if you will, close to a year ago, actually. So I met with council, the staff, and they said, take it to the community. Like, you know, what you're showing sounds okay, maybe, but take it to the community. So in January, we had a community open house. Prior to that, we noticed, I believe it was about 750 households. The Sunset Equestrian being a large chunk of those via email through their HOA management company. And then we put door hangers on over 200 doors in the surrounding area. We wanted input. The 500-foot radius wasn't enough for this blast because we had one opportunity to do something unique and special here, so we didn't want to miss the mark. We had about 150 people in attendance. There were 72 households that joined, and so big thank you to everyone that came out from that. We had 4 different stations kind of set up. So there's a master plan introductory with a moderate income and attainable housing segment. We had a building typology and land use section, a community character and architecture section, and then lastly, parks and open space. So we gathered input on all of these segments prior to actually starting the design of the community. And you'll notice this through here, there's sticky notes. So these are pictures of the actual slides from the evening. And so we wanted input. We provided the opportunity in a couple different ways. some of the posters we provided a sticky note to, or like stickers. Some of them are red and green. And then we had hundreds of sticky notes. And so it was, if you're not seeing what you want to communicate via the voting process, if you will, get specific, put it on a sticky. And I am here to say I've read every single one of them, and I've done my best to assimilate them into, so that way every voice from the evening was heard. Attainable housing, the big takeaway on this one was, I mean, as you can see, it was kind of split down the middle, 50-50. Yes, we should look at attainable housing product types, and no, we shouldn't. The ones in the middle, those were maybe a yes, but situationally where, right? So the next we had the building typologies. And you're unable to see it here on the right, but these were actually comments left on the stickies. It's white on my screen. Is it white on yours as well?
Yeah, white lettering.
Can we go to the PDF and try that? It's a night for technical issues. Perfect. So you'll see these sticky notes on a couple different slides. These came from that evening, and they were written down by those in attendance. So the building typologies. This one was, I would say, the crux of the evening, right? Because what are we going to build? Where did we start? This was very crucial to that conversation. So personally, what I left the evening with versus what I expected going in were totally different. It was fascinating. So on this board specifically, we handed out one red and one green sticker to each individual. Notice there's 4 votes. We only gave 2. And so the concept was pick your favorite and pick your least favorite. And so starting at the top, we have traditional single family, fairly unanimous, a lot of green, a couple red within there. The cottage single family, this one was a surprise, not one opposition vote against it. The luxury townhomes, 50-50 roughly. And then my big takeaway from the evening, which is the 4th one, we don't want Farmington Station. And so, which was abundantly clear in this exercise. So we kind of threw the book of here's all of the different things that we would entertain putting into this development. And from here, we started to take the feedback and put it into the plan. The next area was architectural character. My big takeaway on the architecture side is there's no one size fits all. I mean, what I think looks attractive, my wife says we wouldn't be caught dead living in. And so everyone's different, that's okay. So there wasn't an overwhelming poll in this, but we could definitely kind of get a sense of where the community was gravitating towards. So we actually are taking that into consideration with our active communities, and it'll obviously be held here as well. The character slide, this was just tell us what you think. And so of all those stickies up there, again, on the right side, it's a consolidation word for word, but I tried to make sure that every single topic was at least covered. After that, we had the neighborhood amenities. And so the real big question is like, there's 2 bookends to planning. You can consolidate it into a programmable space, or you can spread it out and disperse it, so that way everything feels bigger. From here, there was not desire for ball fields, programmable space. It was much more, let's go the passive route, trails, put it, if there's excess in front of a house, fantastic, right? That was more desired than having everything grouped together. So And then the last station, we actually had one of the consultants that we have on the team. We had a landscape architect, so all of these drawings were from the evening. The residents were able to come up, give this individual, Eric specifically, some feedback. I want, in this case, a light rail line. That was from someone, a tractor park, and he sketched it up. So, and then, you know, is this kind of what you had in mind? And so, and really, we have the playground and organic and rural character feel, more passive, the arboretum and botanical garden, really unique concepts. I mean, these are from the people. So, and then mini golf, that one was kind of a fun one too. Just so, from this exercise, I mean, we tried to go in eyes wide open. We didn't know what we were going to go home with, and so with that in mind, this is where we get into the project. The big takeaways: buffering and transition, 550 and Seabiscuit, which is the continuation of 550 into the existing stub street, which goes into Sunset Equestrian. There's rightfully so a lot of passion around that topic. Passive open space was the big takeaway there, and then our equestrian center, high density versus attainable housing, and then traffic. So what we have proposed is an R16 zone and an RM zone. So I need to get in the weeds a little bit on this. So the R16 zone, keeping in mind with the transition, trying to keep the community to the north, you know, have that appropriate transition of product type. Within that R16 zone, we have restricted that those perimeter lots would be a minimum of 12,000 square feet to help with that transition. And then the other lots within there would be between 6,000 and 8,000 square feet with varying lot sizes. And so they're drawn square here. That's not our intent. We want to have some variety even within that, but they would all be greater than that 6,000 square foot. The RM zone, this is shown up here as blue and brown. And so there's two segments within here as well. So the RM zone, it's kind of misleading because, Melinda, how many units per acre can you do in the RM zone?
15.6.
I don't want to do that. I read the Facebook comments, and even out of what we submitted, I made some color changes, and this slide is directly tackle that. I saw that a lot of people thought the whole thing is townhomes. So within this, the blue area, these are detached single-family homes. They would range on lot sizes from 3,000 up to 5,000 square feet, but they are detached single-family homes. This is the new segment that Symphony wants to get into. This is our attainable desire as part of our business plan. And then the brown section, these are the townhomes, and so or attached single family. So within the R16, no variation to the setbacks that are within that zone. The only variance that we asked for within this was the ability to go down below a 60-foot frontage, but no less than 50. So long as the average exceeded. And so, and again, that's heavily so that way we can tune lots, that way we can put a variety of homes within that segment. The R16 itself is little less than a third of the total acreage of the project. And so, and then these are some of the homes between Ivory and Symphony that we actively build and would build here as well. The RM detached single family. So this is a bigger portion of the project, but 43%. With how valuable, not in a monetary sense, but how valuable land is as a resource. I mean, we need to make sure that we use good of it, which is part of the driving reason with Symphony saying, hey, I think there's an opportunity there for us to go be better than everyone else in that segment, because this isn't a new concept. However, I think there's some missing opportunities there that we want the ability to build. And so within this, as Melinda mentioned, 15 units per acre is that RM zone. In the development agreement, we have an explicit restriction that will cap us. We're working on the levers of that, but we would build the detached single family in accordance with this plan, even though it is an RM zone. And so no bait and switch. There's going to be rails within the development agreement to ensure that. The small list lot size within this is 3,500 square feet, and the largest is 5,000. What that does is, again, it allows us to build multiple different types of homes within that segment. So on the top, you can see there's some narrower homes. The middle two, those are on a 3,500 square foot lot. The outside two, those are on a 5,000 square foot lot. The traditional zoning, as you go into the R16, et cetera, the RM zone had the most flexibility to promote this, which is also part of the reason we elected to apply for that zone. All of these would have a 2-car garage. The larger projects, 3-car is a standard. And so garage is in the back. It's not the predominant feature. We build very attractive homes, and putting the garage in the back gives us a better canvas to work with on the front. The other segment being the townhomes or attached single family. So all of these would have a minimum of a 2-car garage as well. The lot size is, it's kind of speculative, but where they're attached, it would roughly equate out to, after you average it out, to the 2,800 as a minimum lot size. And so, and there's some latitude with like how you arrive there within the zoning code, but 2,800 would be the absolute minimum. So these are different elevations. 2 of them you can find in Utah because they're built by Ivory Homes. The other 2 are from our internal inspiration board. If Symphony has the opportunity to build some of these, this is the direction that we would like to go with it. One of the big things also that we heard from the community is we don't want cookie cutter, right? And so with the varying product types, both within the townhome, the RM, detached single family, and then the R16, all of this it's quite a bit of variety. I've built quite a few projects, and the opportunity within this, if it's the right thing for the community and we continue down this direction, I'm personally really excited about what the curb appeal will look like through here, because it is going to be different, but I think that's an okay thing. Next, we have the amenities. So within we would build a pool with the townhomes. However, all residents within the community would have access to it. And then pickleball court, playground. Biggest thing is we want to create amenity nodes. And so we're trying to disperse throughout. You can see with the trail system that this design has. I mean, the concept is no matter where you live, you're 2 right turns and on foot, and you're at an amenity. And so locations still somewhat TBD, but the goal is we want to just have a disbursement of amenities throughout. And I'll also state, just because this has been a question, so it is Symphony's intent to have a separate HOA from the Sunset Equestrian HOA. There's been questions about if we're coming in, if it'll be separate. So I will just state clearly, our intention with all of these amenities, these would be private for the use of the residents within our community, and we will establish our own homeowners association for that. So the bike park. Before this, so the equestrian center. There will be some conversation about this tonight. I just want to be very clear and state a couple things related to that. So the first is it is a private business. The second is there are no obligations to its perpetual use, and it does not have to remain open for eternity. 3, it's not part of the Sunset Equestrian HOA. It was not used as towards the required open space that entitlement needed in order to build the homes. It's explicit within the development agreement. They met their minimum open space, and the equestrian center was not part of that calculation. 4, 5. So this property is no different than any other property in Kaysville. It is subject to the zoning laws of Kaysville City and subject to any vote by the city council and a recommendation from this board. So that said, we acknowledge its history. It started with that community through the course of various reasoning. It became a private use and was sold. And acknowledging that it has been a part of the community, what I am proposing is that we would give back to the community. And with this, Kaysville City would have a bike park. And so what is a bike park? It would include a pump track. It would have various jump lines, as they're called, ranging from beginner to intermediate to expert. If you Google just 9-line bike park, that is the bike park that I've set expectation for quality, scale, and appearance, if you will, to staff. That can and will be accomplished within the acreage area as well as the budget easily. And so there's some opportunity, I think, to make this special and unique for Kaysville. This would be owned by Kaysville. There's no future question about who owns what or what the ties are. We want this to be owned by the city, and in lieu of a private equine use, we are proposing this public bike park. And I get passionate about this because, in our day and age, kids are glued to their phones. So if I have any impact on getting a kid outside on a bicycle, I think that's something worth exploring. The buffering and transition, we have the 12,000 square foot lots we worked down. 550 and Seabiscuit, it's a moving target, but we're going to do our best to mitigate traffic. The traffic impact analysis showed, because of the interchange that is new here, as well as the 2 arterial collector roads that abut the property, traffic is projected to flow south or to those roads and then disperse from there. And so our future residents are highly unlikely to exit as a daily routine through the north. And the traffic study validated that. In fact, the traffic analysis showed 25% of the northern residents would actually likely use this as an exit. And so we are actually gaining additional units, though in terms of our analysis, those have been factored in to this plan and with the traffic recommendations. Passive trails and open space, we will build some trails. I want to make this a well-connected community. That includes connecting into the existing Sunset Equestrian trail system and then adding a lot more. And then high density versus attainable housing. Kaysville deserves, and I believe that what makes a good community is having all walks of life. We're not proposing apartments. As mentioned, we are a home builder. We put families in homes. These will be owner occupied. And we have some rails to ensure that the well, we are above the 2 units per acre. I acknowledge that. However, with these product types, I believe that we are going to be able to provide a range of housing for existing Kaysville residents, future Kaysville residents, as well as kids within Kaysville. And so with that, I would like to ask after public comment if I can get up to speak to anything that catches my ear, and also Q&A at your request. So, thank you.
Very good, thank you. So just for those that are somewhat new to this experience, we're about to open up the public comment portion again. Now, I didn't mention this before, but when you come up, it is your time, and so public comment period is not a chance to ask us questions or ask the applicant questions and have a conversation. You can certainly pose those questions. We love that, but we will not use your time to get into any kind of discussion. So just expect us to listen and pay attention to what you're saying. After we have heard everyone who wants to make any comment, we will have an opportunity for the applicant to come back up to address some of those things, and the commission will get into its discussion and go from there. Just a reminder, as you heard, this is something that we believe will take enough time that we'll be continuing it to a future meeting as well. And a reminder that our role as a planning commission is to make a recommendation, and then ultimately the decision on any rezone goes to the city council. So there's a process that still is ahead of us for this. Having mentioned that, we will go ahead and open up the public comment. There's no particular order in how you signed up or anything, so we'll just have you come up, state your name, and have your time. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Jason Sanders. I own 2 properties in the the Sunset Bike Park neighborhood. I feel like a little bit of bait and switch just happened. I bought those properties expecting a equestrian center to stay there. The plat recorded in the county, signed by the city mayor, the county folks, says that it shall be used for open space or an equestrian center. My home was bought being told that there was going to be an equestrian center there. Our streets are named after an equestrian center. We have horse trails that are only made for horses in our neighborhood. And these guys want to just take that away when we have certain rights there that are signed by contracts. I heard reference a number of times to a development agreement that they are proposing. And my question is why propose that at all when 10, 15 years down the road, they just want to change our development agreement in our neighborhood? So what's the point of having a development agreement in this neighborhood if just 10, 15 years down the road, somebody wants to come along and just change it? I don't understand the point of having a development agreement if it's just a piece of paper that times have changed. We'll just change it whenever we want to, regardless of what the neighbors think. I saw the sticky note thing. I was at the community meeting. I spent a lot of time talking to the Symphony Homes owner. I thought that the sticky notes, no one said that, hey, these are going to be used at the next planning meeting to kind of justify what we're doing. There's no place to say, hey, we disagree, we think something different. It was very, I'm a lawyer, those are very leading questions, trying to get people to respond and give them some ammunition to come here and say, hey, this is what the neighborhood's all with us. They're great. I'm just shocked that when I saw the sticky notes last night looking at the PDF, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I'm really disappointed in the owner of Symphony Homes. I literally bought my home. I went down there to the model home. The owner was there. He spent 2 hours with my family, driving me around neighborhoods, looking at homes. He's the owner of Symphony Homes. He didn't need to do that. I told my wife afterwards, I love this guy. I want to buy my home from him. And then after multiple conversations, I was the HOA president until earlier this year of the Sunset Bike Park community. I had 4 conversations with them about this. It said, my phone's always open, texted them, no conversation since then, to me. I'm really disappointed. I'm really upset. I don't think that we should stop a development there. Something needs to happen. Growth's going to happen. We got to do it right, but we should also protect the development agreements that have been signed. We should respect these things that are recorded on the plat. Yes, they came up here and addressed the equestrian center. All those things were disingenuous at best. a lawsuit is being filed concurrently with this to fight that property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Keith Halls. I live at 1787 South Sunset Drive. That's directly across from the road that is proposed to come onto Sunset Drive. I've lived there for 40 years. I'm a developer. I developed Sunset Estates, which is just south of Burton Lane and on the east side. And I've developed some other lots along Sunset Drive. For 40 years, I've had to negotiate a blind corner coming down Sunset Drive. I've talked to Kaysville City Police Department yesterday. They've issued several citations, people exceeding the speed limit going south. You bring 300 families and have them enter Sunset Drive on a blind corner and ask these people to turn left to go north, you're asking for some serious consequences. Also, you got people who are coming from the south that want to turn into that subdivision. Again, you've created a left-hand turn, creating more serious consequences there. 2 days ago, you had 3 cars that crashed on Sunset Drive trying to turn west on Western Avenue. Both those east and west roads had stop signs, and that was a long, clear view, and you had 3 cars that collided there. Now you're asking to come down a blind corner and have people making left-hand turns going north and people coming from the south making left-hand turns. You're at 300 people entering that. My proposal is that you put half-acre lots there, like some of us were led to believe, the 4 half-acre lots on Sunset Drive. That's a safer, more reasonable way, and use that wonderful turnabout. It is designed and it's safe, and people can come off Angel, use the turnabout, and if they want to go north, they can go north, and that's a much safer way to go. I'm also concerned there's no sidewalks for the kids to get to the school. Those need to be addressed. Also, I think there ought to be soccer and football fields there. Look at Ponds Park. Look at all the traffic that goes there for that. Please, please consider the safety of accessing Sunset Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halls.
I'm Tara Olson. I actually live right in front of Keith at 1779, and I kind of just wanted to follow him because of the safety. My daughter was actually hit by a car on Monday crossing on her bike just across Western. So I'm a little concerned as well about my kids, because they ride their bikes to school. They ride to Endeavor and they ride to Centennial. So that road filtering out, it really worries, because there's 300, almost 300 homes, so that's 600 cars filtering out of there, and there's only 3 exits, and one is on Sunset. And I get that, but I mean, there's so much, and I don't know if any of you have been on that and seen that curve that Keith was referencing, but you really have to pay attention. And the woman that hit my daughter was, I mean, luckily she's fine. She only got away with scrapes and things, but Sophie had come in front of her car and she tagged the back of her car. So she was looking to see and just was like, this is my moment. And that was her moment, and it took my daughter out. So if that road can be moved or addressed, I know the sewer district is being really like strongholding with keeping their property there, but when Sunset was developed and we had to put in sidewalks, I had to give up 20 feet of property so that Sunset Road could be developed. So I think maybe for safety, like, I don't know if we could strong arm that a little bit, but I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Matthew Mann. I reside on South Sunset Drive. I am Keith and Tara's neighbor. We're directly across from the proposed symphony development. I am here to formally object to the proposed rezoning for the symphony development based on the 2022 Kaysville City General Plan. Page 15 states future land use. That as Kaysville is largely a family-oriented bedroom community, this character area is consistent with established values that are hoped to be maintained into the future. Larger, vacant, and underdeveloped properties are encouraged to develop as conservation subdivisions, which would provide a variety of single-family housing types and forms and clustering development and open space in a manner that preserves the small town, pastoral, and open feel of the city. The proposed symphony development contradicts these values and goals. It does not align with the existing surrounding area's current zoning or with the future land use map on page 15 of the general plan. Therefore, I strongly request that this rezoning be denied. Further, I urge the city of Kaysville to prioritize the completion of the future Angel Street expansion connecting Angel Street to Shepherd Lane before approving any developments of this magnitude. The proposed addition of 293 dwellings at the end of Sunset Drive would exacerbate the already congested traffic conditions, further straining a roadway system that is ill-prepared for such growth. If the Kaysville City Planning Commission does choose to move forward with this rezoning, I ask that any approval be contingent upon ensuring all entrances to the development be made solely from the future Angel Street expansion, not from South Sunset Drive as proposed. I implore the Kaysville City, Symphony Homes, and Central Davis Sewer District to work together to allow safe access to the proposed development from the future Angel Street expansion. I respectfully request that the Kaysville City Planning Commission deny this rezoning request and take appropriate action to safeguard the interests and safety of the existing community. Thank you for your consideration.
Excuse me, sir, could you?
Thank you.
Your name got muddled up when you said, what's your name?
Matthew Mann.
Mann?
Yeah, M-A-N-N.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
My name is Mason Tippett. I live on Mare Drive. And I believe that if the HOA doesn't get this, if our current HOA doesn't get the same amenities that the new HOA will get, we kind of deserve them because we're losing our view, open space, etc. And we also deserve to have the pool and library closer to the cul-de-sac because my parents were promised that there was, the equestrian center was open space, and now they're getting rid of it. And we should also plant more trees in there for the cause of more houses being put there, and have the townhomes be by the sewer plants because I don't like them. And the pickleball courts should also have basketball hoops if there's any odd kid out or anything. And at Snowhorse, they were saying putting more houses in Mare Drive, which I was wondering if they were going to do. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Amy Headley. I appreciate your time tonight, especially since I am was already one of those 2 phone calls to ask some questions, as well as one of the probably longer emails you've received. I live at 707 Mare Drive. Like many of my neighbors, I have a half-acre lot. We moved to Kaysville 5 years ago from Salt Lake County, basically to avoid higher density housing and a very high number of rental properties that had taken over our neighborhood, which increased crime and even gun violence. Legitimately, I mean, that's not really a Kaysville thing, but you know, cars with bullet holes in our residential neighborhood. I do feel like this site map is misleading. I just want to state that first and foremost, because I feel like a lot of my neighbors have looked at this and said, hey, look, half-acre lots, that looks like about a half an acre. So from what I'm seeing, they're proposing behind us about a quarter-acre lot. I do strongly believe that those border lots should be half-acre and that there needs to be a larger buffer area into multifamily housing. I strongly oppose the density that townhomes will bring, and that is primarily where I'm concerned about future owner-occupied dwellings becoming a concern. Just from what I've seen, townhomes are the areas that are more likely, you know, people get that as an entry-level property. That's great for affordability, but then they hold on to those properties as they upgrade and they become rental properties. I also am concerned about a bait and switch. Looking at what the zoning request is with the R16, that's about 0.14 acre lots behind us that they're asking for zoning for. I understand that there's a formal plan, but I would personally like to see a zoning proposal that matches more closely to what they're promising. You know, more of that buffer, because I feel like if this zoning is approved as requested, that they could potentially come back to that plan. Perhaps I'm wrong, I know it's not the time to ask that, but I do feel like we should be getting more of a commitment to them about what they're building through the appropriate zoning requests for each area. But yes, my primary concern is the size of the lots directly behind us. I do think that those should be half-acre lots and that those should taper from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dave McSwain. I live on Sunset, a little closer to the new roundabout you put in, which has been a great development. But I can tell you right now, if you live on Sunset, especially on that south end, it cannot take any more traffic with a road coming out that with this size of development. I already wait to get into my driveway many times for 10, 12, 16 cars to get into my own driveway. Even if that road was moved south, that would even further congest it. So you're not only talking about a road on a blind turn, but you're backing it up against a roundabout that already has too much traffic on it right now. That needs to be completed. Angel needs to go in. I would not even consider this development till Angel went in. I think it needs more access, and I think it needs to have Angel to make this a viable project. The other thing that I think that we need to have Symphony come out of the back closet and tell us what they're going to do. I was in that original meeting when there were going to be 4 lots and more buffer on the east side of this project. Doesn't even look like what we were told right now. And the other thing that I don't think anybody would have suspected is that 60% on some of these facilities being owned and 40%, I guess that means, what does that mean, Matt? Rental properties? Is that what we're talking about? I think all the citizens ought to be aware of that. Every time we come to this project, something else comes out of the closet. And I think that's very unfair to us. I moved down there based on the zoning that was down in this area. I like the wider open spaces. I'm not opposed to good developments. I don't think this is a good development, and I oppose it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Stephen Hatch. You can see my house on that map. I'm on Mare Drive, just kind of abutting some of those bigger lots. But, you know, this is going to get developed, and I certainly am not opposed to development. Definitely not. And I'm not even opposed necessarily to the idea that times are changing, that there needs to be higher density, that Utah has, I guess, a housing crisis is what they're calling it. I recognize all of those things and agree with all of them. That being said, there are serious issues with the proposed development. I have been impressed with the homes I've seen that Symphony builds, Ivory. I'm excited that they are potentially the builders there. I think they make great stuff. I think it looks good. However, I think for me, one of the biggest things is that there's a little bit of a slight here when they're calling these single-family homes. According to the slide that they just showed, the majority of these homes will have an average lot size of 3,500 square feet. And the townhomes will have 2,800 square feet. That's a 700 square foot difference. Technically speaking, they will be single family homes, but in practicality, they will be townhomes. They will feel like townhomes. It will feel like Station Park. That area, that part of it will. And I don't think personally that that fits in with the Kaysville feel. It certainly isn't even close to being congruent with our neighborhood. And I don't expect half-acre lots. I really don't. But what they're proposing isn't even an approximation. And so I propose less density for those single-family homes. 6,000 square foot acre lots. They'd be double the size, but still tiny. A 6,000 square foot lot is small. But doubling the size of the lot would be a huge improvement compared to 3,500 square foot lots. Even something like that would be far, far better. Real quick before my time runs out, for most of us, trading an 18-acre equestrian park for a 1-acre bike park isn't a fair deal. I mountain bike. I can bike across 1 acre in 2 seconds. It's a toddler bike park. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rick Jones, and I live at 1809 South Sunset Drive, right where that new proposed road is being planned. Looking at this, a lot of good things have already been said about the opposition to that. My concern is that that road right in front of my house will service all those townhomes, putting a lot of pressure on Sunset Drive. I propose that everything be brought down there by Shepherd.
There's a pointer there. Yeah.
Just under your folder there, yeah.
Yeah. If we could get people to use that, that would help everybody, including us.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. The battery might be dead.
There it goes.
There it is.
Okay, so I live right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's exactly where I live. So everybody that's going to be living in this area right here is going to be using this as an access point. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
I propose that we do away with this. We come down here, we make a couple of entrances here, and we go over here to Angel Street and use the traffic that way. One point that I did want to bring up that wasn't brought up was this bike park. That, if they're saying what they're projecting, is going to bring additional traffic and even more traffic on the weekends. If that's what, it sounds like that's what they're proposing, I'm totally against the bike park. That's just ridiculous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very good.
Good evening. My name's Paul Belknap. I live on Sunset Drive. I need to disclose that my son, Joshua, is a city employee, and he specifically has separated from me in terms of communication about him, or about this development that he's involved in. So I have now disclosed that. I want to speak about two things, and I don't have time to hit one of them, Mr. Chairperson. And I would like to ask for 3 additional minutes, but if that's not available, I'll abide by the rules. Could I have 3 additional minutes?
Let's see what we can get in the 3 minutes. And
Okay. So every community has a nature. Those communities are made up of good people, but also based upon businesses, landscape, natural amenities, and the ambiance. There are people in this room today that have lived in West Kaysville for approximately the same amount of time that my family and I have lived on Sunset Drive, 45 years. We first moved out here when it was the county, and it was required that you have a ½ acre, which is what I live on. None of us had water. We were on wells, and we appreciate being annexed into Kaysville. Shortly after that process, it became available and obvious that there was going to be some problems with land use. And the city wasn't prepared at that time to have planned and be ready to address those issues in West Kaysville. And so in the early 1990s, when Woodside Homes came and wanted to, they bought a large LDS farm, they bought other properties, and they came in addition to our extended family, and we asked us if we would sell some of our property to them. At that point, people in the community were very concerned about density. And we have here tonight Doug Stanger, who was on the city council, as I recall. And the decision was made to form some committees, some citizens committees in different areas of West Kaysville to try and determine what the density should be. I am out of time, Mr. Chairperson.
yeah, and we're gonna stick with the time limit. We invite you to use the online submission. You can, since this will be a topic that will continue, the entire commission will be able to read any comments you have. And
I just wanted to express how those zoning densities came into being. I wish I had the time. So I would express that there's, that I'm opposed to this.
I'm Jason Donnie. I'm going to turn over my 3 minutes to Mr. Belknap.
fair enough. Okay, we'll allow that. It's, I'm not sure about the rules on that, so we'll go ahead and.
So anyway, we had these citizen committees, and we met with Woodside, we met with the council, we met with the planning commission, and from that, the decision was made that there would be a ½ acre zoning east of Sunset Drive and a 3/4 acre generally west of Sunset Drive. I realize that has changed, and as my friend Dave McSwain indicated, I think you can have a nice home on less than a ½ acre, and I think some people don't want a ½ acre. And you can still have what has been indicated as Kaysville's nature, a small town feel, an open feel. Anyway, from that decision, I then met with and had business relationships with Symphony Homes. They've done a nice job in their developments. I sat down with Bruce Robinson. He was able to develop the property that they have, much of it because I participated and helped with them getting water so that that could be done. I haven't stopped any of this from developing. And Mr. Robinson said to me, we would believe we need your property because we want to be able to control everything within our developments. And I said, Bruce, it's not for sale. I have a small little farm and I like it. And we parted ways friends. With him saying, we do nice developments. We don't do what other people do. And I would just urge that townhomes heading toward 40% of rental of those properties, and the problems I've seen in my business with HOAs where there is that many rentals, it affects the whole community. It changes the community. It changes the nature of the community. And that is a distinct and real problem. And that can be solved by not agreeing with this density and the amount of, and also the amount of rentals. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Brad Walters. I'm a native of Kaysville, farmer, developed some property there on Sunset. I'm a business owner here in Kaysville, and I have a few concerns with this. First of all, I'd like to state that I'm a fan of Symphony. I live in a Symphony home currently. I've also sold lots to Ivory Homes, and I find both of them to be respectable companies. That said, they're not they're not from Kaysville. For the most part, they're businessmen looking to make a buck, and I think that's something that I'd hope you consider in your decisions. Things that I'd ask you to consider, number one, is one of the most important shareholders of this whole equation is the sewer plant, and I have a concern that they're not here at the table. They're not here, and that they're not really being involved in this. I worry that that is an unknown piece of land that will impact this, and more importantly, impact the Planning Commission's plans beyond 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And somebody needs to reach out to them and have some hard discussions. Second, I haven't heard anything about first responder services. We had some emergency services at the home next to our farm yesterday, and I know there was a concern with the amount of time that took, and that has to be addressed, please. Third is a contingency plan for an economic downturn. I bid on the Sunset Equestrian place back in '08 when that whole thing fell apart. I don't remember what happened, but it was a fire sale. And I knew that a lot of people were really concerned with that. What happens in 2 years if the big, beautiful bill falls apart and people aren't able to buy these homes? So there should be, the staff should have a contingency plan in place with the developer if they're not able to comply with all of their obligations. Fourth, it was said that this is a beta or a new segment business for Symphony Homes. Frankly, I don't want this to be known as the guinea pig subdivision, but I'm afraid that's what it's going to be called until there's more clarification on what the beta of this is. I'm in technology. A beta is not a good thing. I don't sell a beta product, but what Symphony told us tonight is this is a beta, okay? This is not a tried and true plan. And I really don't feel good about Kaysville being the beta program. Last is the bike park. Kids don't ride bikes. They're on the electric bikes now, right? Same thing with people on mountain bikes. You heard it. They go up the hill. How about a community pool? I've penciled out this is a $200 million project. Symphony and Ivory are going to make what, $100 million bucks? Let's dip $5 million back into. They're going to sell $200 million worth of homes. It's going to cost them $100 million. Let's take $5 or $6 million back to us. get a community pool. That'd cost $5-6 million. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Patrick Scott. I live on 1497 Seabiscuit Drive, just north of the proposed rezone here. I was heavily involved in the development of Sunset Equestrian Estates. I was employed by Woodside Homes at the time and was the development manager for the project. I'm probably more aware of all of the discussions that happened on the Equestrian Center than anybody in the room. And I have my own qualms about that changing and what could have been had it been handled differently 15 years ago. But having said that, I'm very passionate about being able to provide homes in our community that are attainable to young families. And half-acre and third-acre lots just do not cut it anymore. The world has changed over the last 15 years. We've got a freeway here now. Additional development has come. The property values since Sunset Equestrian Estates started have probably quadrupled, if not more. The game has changed. What was a $400,000 home 15 years ago is now a $1.2 million home, and it's the same floor plan and they're similar finishes, and it just costs too much money. And density is not comfortable, and density is change, but density can also help bring affordability, and it is much needed in our community. The additional density will not discourage families, it will bring families to our neighborhood. There's lots of discussions about impacts to schools and traffic, and some of those are valid and some of them are not. But the number of students in our local schools have shrunk over the last 15 years. We have fewer children in our primaries and our wards nearby. As the neighborhood has aged, we have fewer children, and I think this is important. Are there things that can be tweaked and adjusted and massaged in order to make it safer and better? Yes, but I'm fully in favor of being able to develop something more dense that will be able to be attainable to younger families in our community. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name's Brian Carling. I was here a while ago trying to develop my own 3 acres. My wife and I would have had the preference to leave a small portion to be able to build something. We bought our property 20-something years ago. If you go back to the records, all of that land down there was in the county when I bought the property. I got about 30 acres of all of us owners to go in collectively. Some of us didn't participate, but I paid for the survey to get us included and annexed into Kaysville City, because years ago there was rabbit farm down there. Down further south there was other farms where people just totally kept things rural. The goal was to eventually get us service down there, and things have obviously changed. I think that us in Kaysville, I've lived in Kaysville over 30 years. All 5 of my children, born and raised here, they've all graduated from Davis High. If every one of my 5 children today, if they tried to buy a home anywhere in Kaysville, any single home for sale on the MLS, none of them could afford a home in Kaysville. We have all collectively, metaphorically, we've entered our castle years ago when interest rates were 3 and prices were low, and we've all raised the drawbridge of any young soul that has gone into the high schools here and graduated. There is nothing for them to buy here. I am in support of this. Your staff has given you guys a recommendation for approval. Symphony Homes bought my property. My application, I was told by the mayor, this was point blank, Brian, why don't you sell to someone like Symphony Homes? Because it was clear to me I was not going to get any kind of development done. I was a small player. Symphony has come through. They've put their money where their mouth is. I have worked professionally with Symphony Homes over 30 years ago. They have done nothing but create quality developments. Yes, they're different, but they are honest, they are reliable, they are true to their word. I believe with the development agreement, with what they've proposed, the city council they're gonna call the shots on this anyway. They're gonna give the very specifics, whether the road is there or not. A lot of the traffic right now is due to Shepherd Lane being shut down. And I drive Sunset all the time. That's gonna be alleviated somewhat. But I'm certain that city staff can alleviate the traffic problems. You guys have been given a very meticulously prepared presentation with the city staff recommendation. I would very much in favor that this be recommended. Let the city council hash it out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Matt Howes. I live on Seabiscuit Drive. Right off the bat, I want to ask a question. No one disagrees that density is coming, that we need higher density. One of the biggest problems for housing in Utah is that we get people who come in, corporations come in, buy property, build houses, and then rent it out. So if we're aiming for density for more affordable housing, why are we allowing rentals? There should be no rentals in this area, number one. This should go to families, not corporations and people who can rent. Number two, this is 300 houses. Right off the bat, that's 600 cars. Give it 10 years, these are young families, we're gonna see 900 to 1,000 cars because there are gonna be kids driving. Do you guys understand the quantity that is? 1,000 cars added to this area. That is astounding. That is so much more than what is already there right now. We can't handle that. It was mentioned that traffic would not flow north right here. I contest that so much, especially with the current setup. You're gonna try and go out right here with 900 to 1,000 cars, you're not gonna make it. Up here, Seabiscuit goes up, connects onto Equestrian right here. Equestrian and Sunset will have a traffic light within 5 years, guarantee it. The traffic is miserable right there. I'm glad the car crash was brought up 2 days ago because so much traffic, we're having car crashes there now. We just can't handle this quantity of traffic. My preference would be to close this off right here and not allow traffic to go up to Seabiscuit because I can tell you my neighborhood on Seabiscuit does not want this. We don't want to head south. We don't want 900 plus cars heading up north on our street. We'd prefer to just be separated. I know the city wants to create connected neighborhoods, but let's talk about Farmington High School. I live right here. Both Davis, Layton, and Viewmont High School are quicker to get to than Farmington because Farmington was planned to go through neighborhoods like this. You don't go on any major thoroughfare. Let's not do that to this neighborhood either. Let's not send all these cars on streets that weren't meant to have cars on them. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Hill. I live in this equestrian center currently as well. Most of the points I think as a neighborhood have been vocalized tonight. As you can feel probably from the community, there's strong passion here. This has been a fight that's been ongoing for years. We love the equestrian center. It is part of our community as referenced by the name and our streets and everything. My understanding is that the development agreement requires both Symphony and the city to be okay with amending that agreement to be able to get rid of it. So the initial fight started then when the owner of the center wanted to sell it and turn it into high density. As a community, we banded together, and what we did is we reached out to Symphony. I went down to their offices, said we'd like to have a community event, have you guys come out. We would like you to have our back. And that was from that meeting, that was what they had promised, that we'll come and have your back. And we said in return, we would love to be able to see this developed in a way that's congruent, similar to the rezone request that was prior tonight. Their objective was to keep the fluidity of the surrounding neighborhood, which I think you're sensing a lot of, it feels like this is a little bit of a bait and switch because this is very different from what Symphony has done, which is why we approached them. We trusted them. They built in our neighborhood. We believe that if they do develop in the way that we know that their home, that the homes that they truly build and have built for a long time, it would benefit our community. And so that, I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Overson. I live at 1779 South Sunset Drive. It's just, this guy's not working. Right there. Yeah, Sunset Drive is kind of an issue. And it's kind of nice as well. I mean, you can jump on that road and be going 40 miles an hour and not even notice it, and then realize, oh, it's only 30 miles an hour through here. That road is so comfortable to drive on. That's why everybody is going so quickly on it. And Western Drive is where my daughter was hit. My wife came up here earlier. I propose that we give less priority to drivers on Sunset Drive. This might be an unpopular opinion. I apologize for that, but I think that that would be one of the only ways to slow down drivers on Sunset Drive. And I think we're going to be creating an additional Western Drive debacle in this spot right here, or in this spot, or in the proposed spot this or there. Any driver is going to have an issue turning left on those roads when you add a lot of people in there. So maybe roundabouts, traffic circles, traffic lights, something like that, to give less priority to those drivers, just to slow them all down. That's my input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trevor Pohl. I live in Kentucky Derby Way. So I moved to that area about 5 years ago. I chose that area because of Kaysville, because it was higher end homes, quiet neighborhood, tucked away, rural feel, and it was safe. People for this are saying, you know, my kids can't move here. Well, I had to go get a starter home first. I had to go live in the ghetto. I'm from California. I was one of the transplants, but I picked this area because it was awesome, right? We know that land needs to be developed, but I'm recommending matching our community, which is half acres, and if it can't get there, just go a little bit smaller, but try to be that size. I have many coworkers. I work at Northrop Grumman. We make a lot of money over there, and I know a lot of people who want to move in our community and they can't afford it, or they want yards. This doesn't look like it's going to have a lot of yards, but I know a lot of people will move this way. People talked about the 40% being renters. I come from an area where a lot of people rent and there's no sense of ownership, and they just eventually just don't care and they trash the area. So I'm just not for that. This seems like cramming as much as they can and try to get the best bang for their buck. Rezoning for schools, I just want to make sure you guys are considering. Since my kids will eventually have to go to Farmington, I don't know if that's going to be a possibility, if you guys are going to build another school. Upgrading sewers has been talked about, and increase of traffic has been talked about. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name's Joel Tippett, live in Mare Circle, the second house from the Equestrian Center right now. So I used to live in East Kaysville, the bottom of Mutton Hollow on Crimson Lane, which is by the Mercy Housing, was by the old motel. One of the major reasons I moved from that area is because of the crime and the shootings that happened at the time that I lived there. Came west, knew that it had to be a half acre or open space to make that happen. It was one of the major reasons I came to the area and have loved it. I love the open space, have a great backyard right now that has a ton of open space. I understand stuff's gonna get developed. Coming and seeing townhomes to block my view, understand that's 3 stories when nothing's been there is a little, frustrating, because density and having that is, not what I envisioned living in Kaysville, especially on the west side, that doesn't have any of that right now. And so, I strongly oppose that. with the townhomes and just that smaller, those smaller homes and that. Another thing, when we take away all of our open spaces, it's more asphalt, it's more shingles. No wonder we have climate change. It's because we build everything out and we don't leave any open spaces. We have rivers and little creeks come through all of Kaysville, and they're all built over. And you know, a lot of our neighborhoods, you look at Sunset, and because we didn't have any planning, we have tons of homes on that, and it needs to be a great through street. I would be really frustrated with that, but there was no planning done where, you know, we don't have safety because there's homes, people trying to come out of those. So this does need to be planned a lot better, like with circles and things of those nature, because that's a major concern, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Doug Stanger. I live on Burton Lane. I could reiterate a lot of the opposition that's been spoken here, but I'm going to address a little bit of a different angle. There are two ways to get to Kaysville downtown. You got to go up Burton Lane over the overpass, or you go to Second North and go up that over that freeway or into the freeway. This kind of density on the west side of town and on the south end is going to overpower Burton Lane. And that road is not built for that. This population, that is just too dense to bring in with the existing traffic pattern. And there's no way to change the traffic pattern over the freeway. There's no other way to get there. So I am opposed to this kind of density, and especially that density down on the very bottom where you've got apartments, which will be rental units. That's going to impact our neighborhood a lot. If you live on Sunset Drive or on Burton Lane, you know the traffic in the mornings when people are going to work and going to school and coming back home in the evenings. It is very difficult to manage the traffic. And this is, I don't know what a percentage increase is, but this is big for the west side of town. I am definitely opposed to this subdivision.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment?
My name is Jed Stanger. I live on Preakness Drive in the Sunset Equestrian Estates subdivision. I've got just a couple things I'm thinking of. The approximately 19 acres that the Equestrian Center sits on has some restrictions on that property by recorded development agreement, a recorded plat, a note on a recorded plat, and information in recorded CC&Rs that affect that 19 acres. With restrictions that would make it so that I don't know why this would even be something that can be approved at rezone. In addition, the lots up here are, I agree, they've been mentioned, these look very deceptive, those drawings, because these houses right here are sitting on, I think, 20,000 plus square foot lots. These here look like they're as big or bigger than these lots here. So it's a little deceptive on, and they're saying that those are going to be 12,000 square feet. So it just doesn't seem right. It just looks like it's showing the buffer is a little bit more than what it really is. I think the buffering is even smaller than what they're saying, which I think would need to be larger buffer there. I think it does not fit in the surrounding areas, which goes along with what the general plan of the city, the development is, that we want to match and go from one area and kind of have the same thing. It's surrounded by R120 and I think it's RA, which are basically half-acre lots. So it does not fit in with those surrounding areas. The density He says, Matt said it was average of it was 5.8 units per acre through here. But if you take out the area through there where there are power lines and it's unbuildable, that density is actually a lot greater on the buildable area. And so it is a lot more than just 5.8 acres. I know there is some open space, but a lot of that can't be used for anything, I think, because of the power lines that go through there. As far as the comments about getting kids outside and stuff, homes this size with rear load garages, so there's a driveway in the back, there's little to no side yard and little front yards, does not get kids outside of their house. It puts them inside their house, on their phones, on the electronics, because there's nowhere to play out in your yard. There's no personal private area to go outside. And so I think some, definitely we need to put off rezoning, and especially until, I think I would recommend even until that Angel Street Road extension is in place, not even address this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, sorry. I live on the east side. I love Kaysville, lived here 18 years. I care about east and west. I have one technical question. This rear load area where the garage is in the back, I heard that there may be a alleyway. I don't know if that's true, but it seems like based on the map, it's puzzling how you could have a garage in the back without an alleyway, okay? And I don't know who's lived on an alleyway. I did when I was a kid. You talk about trouble with traffic, an alleyway is a good example.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Cammie Tippett. I live in Mare Circle. I think when I look at this map, one of my biggest concerns is parking and safety. These homes here, I don't know if they're going to have sidewalks. A lot of neighborhoods I see like this do not have sidewalks. And so that's a concern with children. And then, you know, people do have visitors come over. Where do those people park? I just don't see that they're being, you know, if people have more than 2 cars, if they have a teenager, a grandparent living with them, where are all those people going to park? So it seems like there should be some parking lots required within the development. Also, this seems like a stark contrast from these 3-level townhomes to my neighbor's, $900,000 homes right here. And, that's not what they envisioned, and it wasn't zoned that way, so that seems concerning. But it's also like this circle right here, if that's going to be a through access for these townhomes, that would be a concern. And also, where are all these townhomes visitors going to park? It's probably going to be all along this street. And frankly, I think all these townhomes, the parking is going to be along Angel Street for all the overflow. So that's a safety concern. It's already a safety concern at Jefferson, and then when Pioneer Park has games going on. Just having parking on both sides of the road. Like, we were driving up Western and just last week, and a little kid darted out from in between the cars on one of their scooters, and Western Drive is just a problem, period. But I just think safety-wise, this just seems like not ideal. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Allison Stenquist, and I don't know how to use one of these. Is it?
Somewhere there's a button.
Oh, this little button? Okay. So you have to hold it well. Okay, I got it. Okay, thank you. My husband and I live here, and we sold, yes, sir?
Can you lift the mic, speak more into the microphone?
Okay,
Can't hear you.
yes,
Thank you.
I can do that. And we sold our property, and my in-laws' property was sold also to Symphony Homes. Anyway, it was important to me and to my husband that the properties in this area be respected. Our neighbors across the street, their lots are half acre and larger. My neighbor here resides on an A1 property and now have been drawn in about 6 lots to back up to that A1 property. And these are, I believe, about 10,000 square feet. And these here are now 12,500 square feet. Before we sold the property, we met with Symphony because it was important to us that the development transition be done very sensitively and respectfully to those that we've lived by for so many years. And so, and in our discussions with one of the owners of Symphony Homes and with other employees of Symphony Homes, it was discussed that there would be half an acre lots across here and then a 1/3 to 1/4 acre lots back in this area. And we were comfortable with that. We went to our neighbors to tell them what we had been told by Symphony Homes, and also to let them know that we were selling our property. And our neighbors were very respectful of what Symphony had originally planned. And I think what they had originally planned was also very respectful to the neighborhood. So I'm not opposed to development, but I do believe there needs to be a more sensitive transition to the surrounding neighborhood. I don't think 10,000 acre or a 1/4 of an acre against an acre lot, which is really light agricultural, is necessarily a sensitive transition. And I also agree with a lot of the safety issues that have come forward in regard to this development. The zoning changes that have been requested. Okay, so I'm supposed to stop talking. I finished my sentence. The zoning changes, I don't believe, reflect necessarily a sensitivity to a transition in zoning.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, everyone. I'm Lori Nacy. I live at 1788 Sunset Drive, and I'll show you where that's at, if I can. Right here. So my backyard is here, and I think I agree with everything that's been said. Not opposed to development by any means, but I am opposed to this density right here. I think it is very misleading. This looks very small compared to this, and as people have stated, these look giant compared to this. I think that every day I drive out of my driveway here on Sunset Drive, and I no longer can back out of my driveway and haven't been able to for years. And if we're looking at 600 additional cars on this street, and here I live right on this blind curve, and I can attest to you that this is very serious, especially as Mark mentioned, people drive on this road 40, 45 miles an hour, and that's on a good day. So I think that we respectfully should look at this density and make it make more sense to our area. It feels very much like Station Park. The pictures look for this map right here, the blue zone looked very much like the homes that you see right next to Station Park with the 2-foot fence out front. And I think that that's an issue. Also, I think that the zoning should match what the, somebody mentioned bait and switch before. I think that we should look seriously at, are we looking to make sure that we have a plan that's in place that is agreed upon, or is this something that can be changed later? Because if we zone this all the same, does that mean then if these townhomes want to be built right in here, they can be, because it's the same zoning? I think that's a concern that we should think about. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Brett Frankum. We live in 732 Philly Court, which is just above the map here, but I wasn't able to attend the whole meeting, but I was on the call earlier this week, and I think a lot of great points have been brought up. I think we all realize it's going to be developed at some point, and we know that's coming. I think all we're asking for is that we look at it, we all bought our homes in this area for a certain reason. Most of us moved from starter homes. Most of us moved from other areas to come to Kaysville because of what Kaysville has grown into and what it's always been. And, the changes that are being talked about now with this density of home, it's going to have a lot of renters. There's a lot of other things that are going to come along with it. A lot of points have been made about the traffic, the accident the other night. Super scary. Turning onto Sunset from Western is always a challenge. All these additional cars being on Sunset and around this area is going to be a horrible situation. I think, if we were to look at this, and on the mayor on the call earlier this week said, okay, we need you guys to tell us what you'd be okay with. We all bought in with the half-acre homes. We realize that's probably not going to happen. That would be our preference, at least my preference. But at least, the half-acre homes bordering the homes that are half-acre now, stepping down to maybe third-acre lots and maybe quarter-acre lots over against the highway there. 50 acres, half-acre lots would be 100 homes. We're now to 300 and whatever homes this represents. It's unmanageable with the transportation and the public transportation and everything that's available in this area. It can't support that type of development. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Brent Giles. I live on Mare Drive. It's right, actually, there's a lot of people that have been on Mare Drive know about the barriers that are right there. We're on the east side of those barriers, so we're kind of the, outcast of the Sunset Equestrians, but we really love the community. We love the agricultural, and like everyone has mentioned, we're not opposed to development, but I guess what I would like to see is it's not necessarily clear through what has been proposed about what's going to happen at that intersection with Mare and Seabiscuit. I know for the 10 years we've lived here, we've had to access our home from Sunset. I'm coming off a dirt road, which gets torn up over the years, and our neighbor Argyle has been very good at taking care of it, helping us. So some of the things that we've seen as far as issues has been emergency response, because sometimes they've come down that road, down our dirt road to the barriers when they actually have to get into Sunset Equestrian. So making a clear plan of how emergencies want to get into these areas, because those are times when seconds are very important for the emergency vehicles to get to where they need to be. They actually had the EMT jumped off over the barriers and they drove around so someone could get there soon, but the vehicle took a while to get there. And also, I have to take my garbage cans all the way down past everyone's homes to get them serviced, because there's garbage trucks can't come down that dirt road anyway, so. Having something clear about what's gonna happen in that area would be helpful in these plannings. And also, just access into this and see how we don't want to overpopulate it without the infrastructure there in place, to be able to support what goes in there. So, and that's all I'd like to share. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing portion of this discussion. Mr. Leveland, we'd like to have you come back up and address anything that you would like to address before we get into our conversation.
Thank you. I need to eat crow personally for using the word beta. So this is a flagship community. It will be the beginning of many good things for the Symphony Company, and we are hopeful that it can be shared with Kaysville. Can I update the record, or do you have to leave beta within there? So the open house, I will apologize to anyone that took their feedback being used towards the plan. We clearly could have communicated better, saying we plan to build a project and we want your input. We are going to use that moving forward. And so if any misconception there, I apologize personally for that. The rentals, that was that language is specifically added at the recommendation of staff. That language was from another application. Melinda, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, the language that's in the development agreement has been revised and drafted by outside legal counsel that we've hired to help with this. They're here this evening. But based on conversations on another project that was approved, the council wanted to have some assurances that the units or the dwellings would be owner occupied. And so they kind of benchmarked that at 60%. That has now been included in one development agreement that has been approved with the city. And how that works is that the developer would put into their CC&Rs that ownership requirement, and then they would manage that. So otherwise, there would be no ownership requirement, and in theory, all of them could be rentals, but this provides a reasonable amount of assurance that at least 60% of them would be owner occupied. It could be higher, it would not be lower than that if the CC&Rs and the HOA adequately enforce that.
As well as no individual entity or corporation can own more than 2 within there. So the 60% is a recommendation from the city based off of other approved applications. I just want to make it clear, Symphony has no plan of turning this into a rental community. We want to build homes for families, period. So I just want to set the record straight on that, and I think some context is very relevant. Sunset Drive. There's a lot of conversation has taken place, I would say, over the last several weeks on this. We are going to work with staff and the community to make sure that anything that we propose is absolutely safe and best for that area. And so the commentary around it, we are going to look at that, but so if anything, that's for the public behind me. The comment also about the 12,000 square foot perimeter lot versus what's drawn. So you'll notice there's a half-width road against Paul Morley's property, which is the unplanned, undeveloped property.
Yeah, can we
sorry. So you'll notice there's a road right here, half-width. This layout specifically is the most efficient with these types of product types while respecting his property boundary. those lots as drawn are bigger than 12,000 square feet. And so there's no bait and switch mentality here. However, I do just want to say that this is, if approved, this is what will be built. And so the proposal was at 12,000 square feet, but I'm welcome that. At what point do you stop transitioning, I think is one argument. But on the other side of that, I'm looking for some deciphering from this group on now what, where do we go, right? The only other point that I just want to make is the freeway right there, the sewer district to the south. I understand that the individuals, there's families, and a great community down here. By potentially hitting the state mandate, getting creative on what some of these land uses can be, I want you to also look north of that line. And as Symphony Homes, we are here to build half-acre lots in West Kaysville. I think there's a place for those, absolutely. I think there's also a place for maybe something else. And so the edge of the city next to, again, 2 arterial roadways that can support this infrastructure, just a point of consideration. So that is all that I wanted to address, yes, that is all that I wanted to address personally. But again, I really would like some feedback and conversation. Can you decipher? That was a lot, so
yeah.
Mr. Chair, and just a question that I've gotten, you had raised this a little earlier, and then we've heard some comments. And Melinda, maybe you can chime in on this as well. You talked about the equestrian center and that there's no legal obligation there, and yet others have said that there is a legal obligation. Do we know more definitively about that?
Yeah, so we do have Mr. Brent Bateman here this evening, who we have retained as outside legal counsel to review documents associated with previous development, Sunset Equestrian Estates, and to provide advisement to the city on legalities of the proposal, what we may need to do, what we may not need to do. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Utah actually has a pretty cool thing that I don't think any other state in the country does this, but they have created an office of a property rights ombudsman, and that is a neutral party that kind of helps navigate private property issues when a government entity is involved. And so Mr. Bateman was the property rights ombudsman for the state of Utah for several years. That's where I first became acquainted with him, when I worked in another municipality and had to acquire right-of-way. So in my opinion, Brent Bateman is probably the best at this in the state, knows land use law better than most attorneys. In fact, and I think this should hopefully provide some type of comfort to those in the audience, but when I told Matt that Brent had agreed to do the review on this, it was much to their chagrin. They kind of were like, oh shoot, we know what we're up against there. So we do have Mr. Bateman here this evening, and I asked him to attend so that he could address those questions about those previous agreements. So we provided, I think it was a total of 13 documents for him to review, including the initial development agreement. There were 3 amendments to that development agreement. There were a number of versions of CC&Rs that he reviewed, as well as plat documents. And so I think it would be great for the Planning Commission and to ask those questions and have Mr. Bateman give his legal opinion on that.
Yeah, and can you remind the audience, not me, what a CC&R is? Because I totally know.
So CC&R is a community covenants and restrictions that gets recorded with a project. That's essentially your HOA rules.
Okay, thank you.
You didn't actually invite me up, Mr. Chair, so I just wanted to...
Come on up. Give us your findings.
So, first of all, just to introduce myself, my name is Brent Bateman. I'm a land use attorney. I've done almost exclusively land use law for 25 years in the state. I was the state property rights ombudsman for 13 years. I am now an attorney in private practice, and the city attorney and the city community development director asked me to come and sort of consult on this question. I do not represent any party. I'm just a consultant who's just trying to make sure that the law gets followed. So I did review, at Melinda's request, I did review the documentation in this case. I reviewed plats, I reviewed CC&Rs, I reviewed development agreements, many amendments to all of those. And so there's just one thing that I want to make sure that the Planning Commission understands is that there is a difference between intending to do something and actually doing it. And there are lots in all those documents, statements of intent. And they're contradictory. One document will have, I'm going to do this. Another document says I'm going to do this. And they even go back and forth. It's all over the place, okay? What I was looking for mostly is I was looking for anything that I could find that put any of that intent into action, into the law. And so I just want to make sure you understand that my conclusion is not based on any kind of policy. It's not based on any kind of idea. It's just, where is it now? Connecting the dots. I did everything I could to connect the dots. And where it is right now, the act of reserving the equestrian center to be an equestrian center forever never occurred. The act of reserving the equestrian center area to be common area or even open space never occurred. Again, there are statements that say we're going to make this an equestrian center. We are going to have the HOA own and run this and everything. But none of those occurred. You actually have to do the act to do it. Like, for example, if something is going to be common area in an HOA, the plat has to say that. The plat has to use those words common area. That's what the statutes require. Okay, they can't just say, this is whatever. And no plat actually says that. It says, one of the plats actually says equestrian center, but that's not the same as dedicating something or committing to have something be that forever. I mean, I could show you a lot of plats of commercial areas, for example, where the plat says that this is going to be a Smith's, and now it's a Gold's Gym, right? You actually have to dedicate it either to the city to be, public, or to the HOA. Didn't happen. Right at the end of the chain of documentation, okay, there is statements of intent to pull that area completely out of the HOA, to make it completely independent. There are statements of intent in some of the amendments that came up to do that. I also found that didn't happen. So what that means to me is that equestrian center is a lot in the HOA. It's not open space, it's not common area, it's a privately owned lot in the HOA. That means that it's not subject to the control of the members of the HOA. It's not subject to making assessments against the owners there in order to pay for what's happening there. As a matter of fact, it should be paying assessments because it is a lot in the HOA. And I also looked very carefully to see if any of the HOA documents or any of the amendments prohibited subdivision of lots in the HOA, prohibited any further subdivision or any kind of particular uses, and I found nothing to that effect. So my conclusion is that that lot is a privately owned lot in an HOA. It's subject to the rules of that HOA, but it's not subject to control of the HOA. It's a privately owned lot, and there's no obligation that it remain an equestrian center forever. That's the conclusion I came to. Any questions? Okay,
Yeah, I might have to think that one a little bit.
thank you.
Now, I have pages of questions and items.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, approach the podium, I'd like to follow up on Mr. Bateman's presentation.
Are you part of the count? Okay. Go ahead, yes. Let's hear about it.
Thank you, sir. My name is Skylar Walker. I'm with Miller Harrison, and we are privately retained counsel for Symphony Homes. I would just like to state for the record that we agree with Mr. Bateman in almost every respect, but our position is actually that it's not even part of the HOA, and I won't go into a lot of detail. We just believe that by virtue of a quitclaim deed that was filed, it was taken out of the HOA, or if not that, that over the course of the last, I'm going to say 15 or so years, the HOA has either waived or through some similar theory lost its right to enforce its CC&Rs against the equestrian center. And we're just confident that there are no legal issues with proceeding with the development that Symphony has proposed. We're very excited about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chair Packer, if I can just add that
it's not the typical procedure. We had the public, the open public area period, and now it's kind of us and the applicant and questions from the committee or the commission.
So I did just want to say that the city essentially does not get involved in HOA matters. So those are contractual obligations between private parties. And so the back and forth here, you can see, we did ask Mr. Bateman we had a scope of work to look at. He has done that for us, but as far as does the city really have an official position of are they in, are they out? We would recommend that the equestrian estates find their own legal counsel and sort that out with Symphony's legal counsel. That's not anything that the city will get involved in. Intentionally, we have not mentioned any of the HOA concerns or designations or otherwise in the development agreement that's proposed for this project. It wasn't mentioned in the staff report, and that's done intentionally because the city just does not get involved in HOA matters.
Okay, thank you. Something to add, go ahead.
I'm here for questions if you have any other. So.
I would propose, I guess, to the commission, we kind of have a 10 o'clock. If we're going to go past 10 o'clock, we have to have a motion to go past 10 o'clock. I have a page of questions. I'm sure the rest of you do too, but it might be the best time to break to continue this motion, to the next, to our next meeting, rather than try to discuss anything in the next 5 minutes, really.
A lot of these things are hot on our mind. And while I agree that I think we're getting to the point where we're going to start making fatigued comments and decisions, so some breaking point. But that said, I've got a few questions here that I really would like to discuss tonight while it's still hot on our minds. I'm guessing maybe some of the other commission members do as well. So I would make a motion that we continue the meeting till at least no later than 10:30.
So that's a motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of continuing the meeting until 10:30?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. Motion passes. We'll go ahead and continue with the questions and stuff.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please.
I have just one question on the rental aspect of it. Melinda, as you've mentioned and as the applicant has mentioned, that was a recommendation from the city that Symphony has said they really have no intention of making these rental properties, but we all know people buy properties and then they turn them into rentals. And one of the things that I hear a lot is how do you prevent somebody from renting their property that they have a legal right to? Melinda, when you say that that's in a development agreement, how is that enforced?
Well, it would be a requirement, so if this project gets approved, what we would do, and I realize this is somewhat contradictory to what I just said, which is that the city doesn't get involved with HOA matters. However, in this instance, we would look to those CCNRs and ensure that it contains the language that we were saying you have to include that would stipulate the ownership. But the, I guess, regulation of the ownership and who lives there would be done by the HOA. So that's not something that the city would administer. It would be the HOA administering.
So that would be provision in the HOA provision?
Correct. That would be included in the CCNRs. And then the HOA would look to do enforcement on ensuring that, the properties aren't being sold to, but there's been, like Airbnb has purchased homes. So it would ensure that those types of investment properties would not be at least at that 60% threshold that would be included in the CCNRs. And then really we would make sure that is included in the CCNRs, and then when a subdivision plat is ready for recordation, we take all of that information down to the county, make sure it gets recorded. We do that ourselves so that nothing funny happens in between the time something leaves here and goes down to the county recorder's office. But that would be the only role the city would play in that, is just looking that that language was included in the HOA rules as the development agreement requires, and then it would be recorded with the subdivision plat.
Wilf, I had the same exact concern you expressed. And many times working for a city, I know that their property owners, neighbors want the city to somehow enforce those regulations. But as Melinda said, the city has absolutely no way to do that. They don't have the resources to go out and track down whether somebody is a renter or not. So it becomes completely the responsibility of the homeowners association to do that. And so for abutting residents outside the HOA, it raises additional questions. Can they go after the HOA? The city's not going to get involved in that. And so I actually see it as problematic to even include that. And just an example of that is the census. I've been involved in several census over the years, and I worked for a city, and we were shocked when the census showed that 1 out of 4 single-family homes in that city was rented, not owner-occupied. So, for example, your neighborhood, Sunset Equestrian Estates, or mine, Quail Crossing, most of us have no idea if the neighbors that live around us own it or not. And there's really no way for cities to tell somebody they can't live there. You can rent your home. I could leave my home tomorrow, go buy a home closer to my kids in South Jordan, and somebody could move in, and what are you going to do about it? There's not much you can do about that. So it's a very difficult thing. This whole rental thing I view as very problematic.
I just wanted to make some comments a little bit about lot size and issues, and that's been brought up in different ways here, both kind of pro and con. And I just kind of want to say we are in a very different environment than when many of these other properties were originally developed. Land costs have become much higher. I'm pretty involved at the legislative level and as a former professional planner in understanding that a big part of the reason that there is a housing affordability crisis is the price of land, which means the bigger the lot, the more expensive it gets really fast. It gets really expensive. So to maybe wind up with the people that may be of a similar background and income level in a neighborhood, you're generally talking nowadays that the lots will likely have to be a lot smaller to get something similar. We have an area, I live up near Highway 89, and across Highway 89 there was a development put in fairly recently. The lots there are much smaller than the lots in the neighborhood where I live. And yet, the people that live there are very similar to everybody else in the area. And, you know, it's a function of what that value does or what the size of that property does to the value. I don't intend to bring this up to say, to scare people or to say, hey, it's, you know, inevitable or watch out, but a number of states around the country now have gotten to the point because there's a housing affordability crisis all across the nation. A number of states have put in place laws that now say that cities cannot require lots to be any larger than, and they put an area on it, and many of those states are like around 3,000, 4,000 square feet, which means every city must allow 4 lots of that size. It's been discussed here in the state of Utah. The legislature has discussed it, and so far they have not put it into place, but me personally, following legislative issues and matters and being involved in the land use task force and other bodies, I think we're headed that way, which means at some point we may be having a situation where lots of 3,000, 4,000 square feet can go anywhere in any city. Now, is that necessarily a negative? As I just mentioned, the situation with the new neighborhood near me and other places that I've seen around in communities, I don't think it's a negative. The negative just may come, as some people have mentioned, in having space to do things outside. And in that regard, you know, we have to look at ways to provide other green space in other areas where people can do things. But I think that's just an issue that's coming with regard to lot size, so I don't necessarily see that as an inevitable negative. The last thing I want to talk about, I really do have some concerns about the circulation pattern for this development. Angel Street, I mean, obviously that's not the sole responsibility of this developer, but Melinda, do we have any idea what the plans are for connecting Angel Street through and completing that?
So I will give my best answer, but I am giving a nod over there to Dexter Fisher, our city engineer, who's also here this evening.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's important to know that in order for that connection, that remaining segment of Angel Street to be constructed, the city will either need to have right-of-way donated or acquired.
Yeah.
Part of that includes the equestrian center. And the road would, I believe, because I was not here when this was looked at several years ago, it was prior to my time here, but the road would clip a portion of the existing building. And so what happens when municipalities, if you have to acquire right-of-way, it's a very lengthy process, but essentially you have to pay for the property, you have to pay fair market value. You also have to pay for any cost to cure items, which would mean, oh, you have to move a fence, or any damages, which would mean you're losing value in your building or in your business. So the ideal scenario for the city would be to have the property dedicated to the city for that road to be constructed. Otherwise, we have to purchase it. So we don't have the right-of-way to construct it right now.
Yeah, okay.
And normally how that works, or the ideal way in how that works, is that you wait until properties get developed, and then the development of that property, they dedicate that road, or the property needed for the road, they construct their share of that road.
Right.
And so that is actually the portion of the development agreement that we still need to address. The city is working on, or has submitted a grant application to the county for funding to construct the road. We probably won't know until maybe December if that grant application is awarded, but nonetheless, Angel Street is very complicated in this area because, again, normally you have the development pay for that road. The sewer district is not going to develop. UDOT is not going to develop. And so that means the lion's share of that road construction costs are the burden of the city. I believe the calculations that we've come up with for the developer's share of this road is between 20-25%.
Okay.
So they would need to contribute that towards the road construction when that time comes.
Is there any of the right-of-way that would come from this project? Or is all the right-of-way all outside of this project that would be needed?
If the project is approved, the right-of-way would be donated
Okay.
through
They'll dedicate.
yes, it would be dedicated through the development of the
Right,
project.
okay,
Halfway.
all right.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, essentially, yeah, so, the laws require the developer to pay their proportionate share of the impacts of a road.
Right.
Or sewer, whatever it is. So they would be responsible for
Some portion.
essentially half of the road for the area that it fronts the property that they own.
Yeah, okay. The other part of that road is, or the circulation is 550 West, continuing down from Seabiscuit. You know, to me, as I look at this, I mean, it would really be ideal for that to go all the way through down and connect to the Angel Street extension.
I absolutely
We agree.
agree.
This is sewer.
That has to happen, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand there's some impediments in the way there.
Yeah, and to speak a little bit more directly, or just to kind of address some of the concerns, yes, about public safety response, traffic flow, connectivity, the city does feel that road needs to connect all the way from Mare Drive down to Angel Street. I can let Mr. Loveland share some of the complications with that, but essentially the sewer district owns this property here. And Symphony approached them earlier this year to acquire property from them that would be needed for the road. The road really can't be adjusted anywhere or moved. There are utilities that do exist in this area, and actually it's a parcel that the city owns. So it's not public right of way, but it's a parcel that the city owns. But the preference would be to have that connection go straight through. I think it's a much better scenario for disbursement of traffic throughout the development, for public safety response, for those who aren't going through the development to get to those arterial roads in a more timely fashion. However, the complicating factor there is that we can't require the developer to put a road through property that they don't own.
Right.
So I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
We are 100% in support of connecting that road. The city has powers and levers that they can pull. We are here to help.
Okay.
I think without connecting that road, or connecting the road, is so wise, but on top of that, what it does is it helps alleviate a lot of the concerns I've heard from the neighbors tonight. It'll take pressure off of Sunset and going north. I mean, it's just so critical. Just connecting that little stretch really helps with that blind curve. It'll reduce the amount there. And you really need two accesses. Look at the length of the frontage of this property on this frontage road. I mean, you've got one access point for that huge length. There needs to be at least two there, and I'm very concerned about public safety access as well. So to me, that is essential, it's critical. So I'll lend my voice to that if it hasn't been made clear enough.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And Melinda, the city staff I know has reviewed this, the connection to Sunset that is shown in this proposal, and I mean, I've driven there as well, and there does seem to be an issue with kind of a blind curve there. And is the city feeling like anything additional needs to be done to try and deal with that?
Dexter. I'll defer to the city engineer.
Melinda is sending out vibrations.
The bat signal to the city engineer. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it is a very good, or a great concern there. I took a few notes there. What we're showing here, I don't think it, as far as I know, it hasn't been engineered and designed that way. The city will require engineer drawings for this. They'll evaluate stopping site distances, and if this is not safe and doesn't meet engineering standards as set forth by AASHTO and nationwide standards, it would not be able to go there. So the city would review drawings and make sure it is safe before allowing something like that.
All right.
As someone who drives that almost every day, you know, one of the problems there is that you're dropping downhill too. When you're going southbound, you're dropping down. So if I lived in this proposal, I'd be nervous about making a left turn out because you pick up a little bit of speed as you come down right through there. But there are things that you can do. You can sign it. You can sign the heck out of it. You can reduce the speed there. But again, AASHTO is probably going to rule.
Exactly, and we could look at traffic calming measures there, or limiting turning movements, and whatever needs to happen to make it safe, that's what will ensure it happens.
And finally, I just maybe would like to ask Melinda to maybe just clarify or explain again why your recommendation is to continue this item tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, so a couple of reasons. Primarily because we still have some additional work to do with the development agreement specific to the road. And the Planning Commission definitely needs to have a final draft of the development agreement before they can give a good recommendation to the City Council. So I don't envision that the recommendation contained in today's staff report would change. I think the general plan supports this. But the recommendation tonight really was to kind of get through the public hearing. Let's get some comments. If there's any changes the Planning Commission would like to see with the proposed project, we could go back and work on that simultaneously with finalizing those final steps of the development agreement. And then we would intend at this point, it kind of sounds like there was enough head nods from the Planning Commission, but one of the things we would like to do is collectively approach the sewer district as a united front. The developer did that on their own earlier this summer, but we would then kind of come back and say, no, if it plays out this way and the Planning Commission would like staff to work on connecting that road, we would go back to the sewer district with the developer and just kind of see if there's any movement we could get on allowing at least the area that is needed for the roadway to be sold to Symphony Homes so that then they could connect that road all the way through.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few comments.
Good, please.
Even though I've spoken a little bit, so I'll keep these very brief. First of all, I want to compliment our residents, my neighbors. I don't live far from most of you. I live just up the hill off of Sunset. I've been there almost 30 years. I hear you. I feel your concerns because when I bought my lot on my little street from Rule and King, there were 7 lots on my little Strub Street. It was a dirt road when we bought the property. And I paid a premium for that. And now I think, wow, I'll bet what I paid for my lot is 7 or 8 times now what it was. In fact, the total cost of my build and lot, when I did it, I couldn't even fit within the cost of a building lot if you were to try to do it. That's how much the land is worth. And for every time I hear, pain of our residents saying, gosh, traffic and everything else, I want to scream and say, yeah, but come over to my house and let me show you what pain is. 6 different proposals for legacy were going to go through my home, take my neighborhood out. I went to multiple planning commission and council meetings over the years begging them to do stuff on traffic. It fell on deaf ears. I worked years ago with the city manager when there was no city planner here. And let me just say, I think a lot of the problem that we're having now as a community is because this city didn't have a city planner. The city manager decided that he was going to be the city planner. And I'm still angry about that to this day, that so much of our city, I think, was poorly planned. We had things in the wrong place. And honestly, guys, the promise that everybody made years ago to have the whole west side of the city in half acre was ill-advised. I live on a half acre. I identified the place where I wanted to live as a newlywed in 1983. I said, that's where I want to live. There was nothing out there off I-15. There was nothing. But I said, honey, that's where we want to live because we, family and work stuff. I bought there and I've seen nothing but hundreds of homes be built where there was nothing behind me, to my south or to my west. There was nothing. I now have 250 homes. Well, yeah, probably a couple of hundred homes that weren't there when I moved in, plus all of the legacy stuff. And you know what? I'm fine. So many of those people are my great neighbors. I go to church with a ton of them. They're dear friends. I don't know. I can't imagine life now without those people that I feared. I went to public meetings and said, no, I think this is bad. So I just want to encourage everybody to just relax a little bit and realize that this development, I think, is wise. But it is a product of the fact that we kicked the can down the road. And now we have a gigantic housing crisis, and every city has a responsibility, and it's going to be crammed down our throat. And this is better than what the state could and will do if cities don't respond. So the concerns tonight are legitimate, but I would say that I think they're workable. And I commend them for doing architectural stuff. Wow. I mean, this could be a really cute, attractive community. Now, having editorialized, now I'll just say a couple things. I personally think the density is too low, way too low. As a city planner, and I know the neighbors don't want to hear that, it's not going to go higher, but I'm going to say density here really would be more appropriate in the 9 to 12. Public safety node. For 20-something years, I've been saying to the city, there is no fire station. And somebody wrote this in one of their comments. I appreciate whoever put that in their email. There's no fire station. There is no public facility out anywhere in the southwest part of the city. And that makes me nervous. It really does, especially with Shepherd Lane being shut down with the overpass. It's a pain. How many of you have to go the long route? I have to drive way out of my way to get over to Smiths or Farmington. I'm a little disappointed that there's no commercial in 50 acres. We have a 52-acre site, and we don't have even one or two little pads. I think this site would have been better designed as a mixed-use node. With 50 acres, the Cottonwood Mall, for example, in Holly, is 57 acres. This is 52. They're going to build 1,000 homes there, and we're doing 200 or 300. And our small commercial node would be great, in my opinion. Something that kids can ride their bike to, people in the subdivision can walk over to. There's a lot of ideas. I think mixed use would have been a better plan, but that's not what's being proposed, but that would have been a better plan, mixed use. Traffic capacity, there's easily traffic capacity. We're way worried about, and you guys, you're way low in your estimates on how much traffic's actually going to come out of here, okay? You say 600, it's going to be a lot more than that. A lot more than that. But the good news is that townhome people drive a little bit less than the single family homes. They produce less traffic. That's just a fact. 550's got to connect. And I think public safety access is really, really critical. And, I could go on and on about stuff from a city planning perspective, but I think overall this is a good proposal, and I generally feel pretty good about it. So I'll let staff know of some additional things I've got, but that's my comment for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next step, do we have any other important comments for right now? I appreciate what has been said. I think those are important things to have tonight.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just for a second.
Please.
We've heard some really from the heart comments from a lot of people tonight, and I really appreciated those. You know, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that those stick with me when we leave here from you gentlemen. Mr. Belknap, Mr. McSwain, you know, I'll be thinking about your comments long after I leave here tonight and what you said. And when we discuss it further. And, you know, the little things that get said and what people say when they come up here. And Matt, I love what the stuff that you said and how you've planned things out. And I think there's some things that need to be changed, yes, and tweaked. And, you know, there's a lot of things that you hear that I would like to ask questions of my friends up here that are with me up here on the board and the commissioners, as I'm still learning, that, you know, that I will learn as we get through this. But I wanted the people that came up here, both pro and con, that spoke, know that, you know, I wrote your names down. I will be looking over this over the next few days. Yeah, it's, as my friend to the right said, I will live with this for the next period of time. Mr. Mann, when you came up, I'm sorry I had to get your last name again, but it affects me. And I hope that what comes out of it is something that is a big win for all of us in Kaysville when it's all said and done. And I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that, Mr. Chairman.
Well said. Thank you.
Ask a quick question on, I wonder if we can see the map again. I'm curious about that little cul-de-sac circle that looks like a dead end. Yeah, over by the, yep.
At the end of the main
What's
drive.
happening there? Is there connectivity there? Is it going to be a ending?
Good question.
Yeah.
So I knocked every one of those doors, and the individuals that I was able to interact with, I asked, do you want it to connect? Do you want to keep it a cul-de-sac? I heard, keep it a cul-de-sac. We aren't touching it. So I'm trying to respect definitely some of the feedback that we received. So our plan and proposal, it will remain as is. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think it's time we have a motion to continue.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we continue this item
If I may.
per the staff recommendation. As, Melinda, did you have a date specific?
Yeah, so I did speak with Mr. Loveland yesterday. I didn't feel like our September 25th meeting would give us adequate time to address everything, so we would recommend October 9th.
All right, so then the motion to continue to our October 9th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of continuing?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We do have a few more items we're going to take care of. If you slip out, that's fine. We'll just have any conversations you have out in the hallway as we finish up here. Thank you for coming tonight. Item number 7, we have approval of the minutes from June 26th. June, that was a while ago. Any concerns with the meeting minutes? I'm feeling good. Let's do it.
We're so tired, we can't even get a motion to
I'll
approve the minutes.
abstain.
Motion to approve?
I wasn't there. Can I?
I wasn't there.
Did we get a second?
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Paul.
This girl.
Okay, oh, thank you so much. Thanks for dropping them off this morning. I had to chase them down last time to get to that sound system.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Other matters before the commission?
I will really only mention two things. One, if you didn't catch in my email the other day, Commissioner Katie Ellis has accepted a job with the city as an assistant city attorney. And so she'll be starting, I believe, on September 4th. So we will be working to fill that vacancy. And I think since we just went through this 2 months ago, we're going to use the list of those who applied this last round. So we'll work with the mayor to get a recommendation to fill Katie's position, and then you should see her here at the next meeting in her role as assistant city attorney. So she'll be attending planning commission meetings.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, very excited about that. And very thankful the council approved that new position. Community development has a lot of needs from legal, and I think this will be highly beneficial to not only my department, but the rest of the city.
Yeah. Very good.
The other thing I was going to mention is we did register, I think I mentioned this last time, but we did register those of you who let us know you wanted to go to the APA conference in October. There's still time to register if there are additional individuals that want to do that. I believe it's, October 9th and 10th.
Where is it this year?
Downtown.
It'll be, I think it's at the Gateway, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's the Gateway.
So it's close,
are you going to go?
commutable.
Yeah.
You'll learn a lot.
Is there a specific, like, planning commission
you will.
time or day?
Yeah, Friday.
Could we do one
Friday
day
the
instead?
10th is the planning commission day.
They tend to have more the
Is this the
citizen
league?
planners.
Is this the league or is this the APA?
The APA conference, yeah.
9th and 10th?
Yeah.
Okay. The league is in September usually,
I think
isn't
the
it?
league is actually the week before that.
Yeah, it
And
is.
they usually have,
That's right.
so I think the league would be October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and that October 2nd is the planners day.
Yeah.
And October 22nd and 23rd is the Utah Land Use
ULI.
Institute Conference.
Okay.
The Land Use Law Conference.
Down in
Sandy.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so we'll send out another email to the planning commission with the dates of those 3 events. And if you want us to get you registered, then we are more than happy to do that.
All right.
And I will leave it at that because it's 10:23.
Yeah.
Next meeting, the 11th, right?
Yes, and we will have our Presbyterian Church rezone back on for the 11th.
Under small area plan, the date change.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you,
18.
Mindy. Yes, we did change, so we will have the second open house for the small area plan on Tuesday, September 16th,
yeah.
from 6 to 8 p.m. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's here.
it'll be here. Yep.
Any refreshment requests? Refreshment requests.
We should just get Bowman's.
Bowman's
Donuts,
brownies. Mint brownies. Not that I'm being specific.
Okay. Rachel has spoken.
That's right.
Have it on record.
No, other than that, just thank you. And we knew we were in for a long night, and we'll get this back on the 9th and see. So those of us who will be attending the APA conference will have a
full day.
a long day.
Oh, yeah. I do have to say, Paul mentioned this in his email reply. As much interest as there was in this, and over my career when I've seen a lot of interest like that, man, those meetings can get really hot. This was a very respectful group.
That's great.
It really went off very
Yes.
well, I think.
And I felt that way after the public hearing at the last meeting as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
I
I
really
agree.
did. I think the Kaysville community is owed a compliment for being very respectful, and that especially for those of us who have done this over and over again, that is more appreciated than you can imagine.
Yeah.
So yes, and it's been very sophisticated type of commentary as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I say something really quick? All of this, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. So those comments and things that you were taking notes on, if you're wanting to further just review that, since minutes won't be out. I mean, this is gonna be a doozy to do for minutes. So go and watch it on YouTube, because all of the public comment will have been caught.
Good.
We got
The
the
audio.
audio fixed on that.
Well, if
Yeah, that's
they
good.
weren't, I have them.
Oh my gosh.
I have 2 pages of.
I'm gonna
of
start
them.
giving you smaller packets, Paul, less notes.
Learn shorthand.
The white space is helpful for note taking.
All right, we have nothing else on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned.